Welcome back YouTube, VST here at Tech, and this is my full review of the Xiaomi 13. When I started this review, I was thinking, what about a title? So I wanted to put it like the best small Android phone of 2023, but since the Galaxy S23 series is just around the corner, I went with the most iPhonish phone of 2023. And Xiaomi fans, don't get me wrong, well, the Xiaomi fans should not get disappointed, because the resemblance between the Xiaomi phones and the iPhones is there and is often sought on purpose, but this will not actually diminish any of the great features that this phone has. And believe it or not, the Xiaomi 13 is a marvelous phone, and if you want to find out why, then make sure to watch the full video and also subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed tech content. Alright guys, let's start. The Xiaomi 13 comes with a glass sandwich design, meaning you get a heavy metal frame and a glass front. Also, for the first time in a while, Xiaomi decided to go full deep dive, and the phone has an official IP68 dust and water resistance. If you're no fan of vegan leather and curved edges, that's the perfect phone for you because it has the super flat edge design of the display. Something very important though should be mentioned, and Xiaomi can be really very proud, as the Xiaomi 13 has the narrowest chin of all the smartphones, leaving brands like Samsung, Apple and practically every other smartphone brand behind. This combined with a flat edge display is to be found very pleasing for a wider audience. My version is the jade green and I really love it. Alright, let's talk about some specification. The display, which is really probably one of the most important things in the phone, this comes from Samsung, and it is the E6 AMOLED, which is also to be featured in many of the top phones of this year. Imagine the iPhone 14 Pro has the very same Samsung AMOLED E6, of course, with a high resolution. The display in the Xiaomi 13 is Full HD+, it has 120Hz, and it practically has all the whistles and bells. It has HDR10+, almost 90% screen to body ratio, and 1900 nits peak brightness. Some articles online even came out with titles like Xiaomi 13 breaks the screen brightness record of Android phones, and it is indeed a very capable display. The Xiaomi 13 starts with a basic configuration of 8GB of RAM and 128GB for storage. This will cost you something like $700 and you can go up to 12GB of RAM and 512GB of storage for $900. There are some fancy colors and also some very special colors, but there is a catch though guys, you need to pay attention. If you get the basic 8GB of RAM version, you'll be left with the UFS 3.1 storage, so you're gonna miss on those great storage speeds that the UFS 4.1 provides, but it's only available with the versions that have the 12GB of RAM, so memorize this. And now let's speak more about the display. It's a flat 6.36-inch OLED panel and it supports 1080p FHD Plus resolution. It has 120Hz refresh rate. It's not adaptive, which means you can only use it on 120 or 60Hz, which is actually just enough. And even that's not the Pro version of the Xiaomi phone, they still included a lot of the high-end features. You gotta get Dolby Vision, you gotta get HD10+, and also HLG, which is interesting because that's royalty free unlike Dolby Vision, and it's mainly designed for broadcasting on TVs. The display does also have an ambient color temp sensor that can adjust the color temperature based on the environment that you use the phone, which is simply great. Now let's focus on the camera. The Xiaomi 13 features a 50-megapixel primary sensor, a 12-megapixel ultra-wide lens, and a 10-megapixel telephoto camera that supports 3.2 optical zoom, which is really an improvement compared to last year's Xiaomi 12, no optical zoom there. The front camera is 32 megapixel, and you get the big Leica 7 on the back on the camera, and also two Leica modes, vibrant and natural, that really takes color science very seriously. Remember when OnePlus introduced Hasselblad? Well, this thing here is better. The vibrant preset strives for more saturated colors, and the natural preset tries to trim them down. I have extensively reviewed the Xiaomi 13 camera in both photo and video recording, and you can check my videos on the right upper side. The big breakthrough here is that Xiaomi finally improved the audio bit rates in video recording, something was absent from the previous series and it was very annoying. The video is sharp, the colors are well balanced, and you do have also the option to shoot in Dolby Vision, only for 6 minutes though. 4K 60fps videos have good detail, they are not choppy, and the audio quality of the sound recorded is pleasant. The only downside here is the fact that you're not able to switch lenses while recording video in 4K, meaning that if you're shooting something from the main sensor, if you want to go to the ultra wide or the optical one, well, you need to get like a pro phone, so you cannot do this here. The stabilization is optical, and even if you run the video footage will not come out shaky. The front camera video is also good, though sadly here we are still limited to only FHD resolution and sadly only 30 FPS, which can be a bummer for someone. Now let's review the photo capabilities of the Xiaomi 13. As mentioned before, you can get hold of the vibrant and natural Leica presets, but a phone does offer an impressive suite of modes you can very easily download from the options menu. Things like the supermoon, the long exposure, the movie effects, and a lot more. Typical for Chinese phones, they always pumped with the latest extras. But what I do like in particular, the portrait mode is very good, and I really like the standalone modes, featuring lenses like 35mm, 50mm, 75 and 90mm. It does give you a more pro vibe when you use it, and the results are really great, as you can also see from the samples. You have also the option for a full body mode when you're shooting portraits, and that's also nice. The night mode is also good, but what I don't like here is the fact that you're not able to change exposure time. The phone always thinks it knows better than you, and it does it for you. Of course you can go and play with the manual pro mode, but it would have been good for Xiaomi to include such an option in the regular night camera. Now let's talk about the optical 3.2 zoom. The details are okay, sometimes a bit too soft for my preference, and zoom in general is good up to 10, which is actually hybrid. It's a combination of optic and digital. There is here though a catch. Sometimes the phone decides to take a 3.2 zoom picture from a crop from the main sensor. So you might think that you're using the optical camera, but you're not, and this happens more often when you try to zoom on close objects. But when you aim a bit more far away, the phone switches to the proper optical camera and lets you enjoy the beauty of the optical 3.2 zoom. It will be great if Xiaomi, like Samsung, offers an option to turn off the auto lens switch and let the user decide. Now let's talk about that performance. Alright, we have a great deal of something here, as the phone already comes with the latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, and believe me, this really makes a difference. The latest Qualcomm processor equipped with the Adreno 740 GPU is really a powerhouse phone. And when I bought a Xiaomi 12 with the 8 Gen 1, it wasn't able to survive the 3D Mark Extreme's test. It would just overheat in the middle and stop, and this was really very frustrating. The Xiaomi 13 not only completes the 20 loops, but offers almost 78% of stability, which means that this phone doesn't struggle so much with thermal throttling and will guarantee high performance in a sustained way. Meaning that you can play longer Genshin Impact and still get a good frame rate. In fact, I did live stream where I played almost 4 hours of Genshin Impact live on camera, starting with 80% of a battery until the phone completely died, and the results were very nice and optimistic. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is not only a powerhouse but also very efficient. And I was amazed. I was able to run 10 Antutu tests on the Xiaomi 13, one after the other, only to find out that the phone almost doesn't lose performance under this severe and heavy load, and this is really impressive. As you can see in this graph, the Xiaomi 13 lost only 4% in the round 6 versus the original score in the round 1, and is losing only 1 to 2% almost all of the rounds, so this is really most impressive. Last but not least, let's talk about the battery, because why do you need a great phone, great display, the best camera if you're out of battery? And that's a rhetorical question, but what's not rhetorical is the battery test video I did on the Xiaomi 13, and make sure to watch that one, it's linked on your right side. Long story short, I recorded live on camera for hours and hours, draining my Xiaomi 13 from 100% to 0%. Yeah. I try to stay real to my daily use as much as I can, and that's why I left my SIM card inside the phone, and I also switched from Wi-Fi to mobile data during some of the tests. So I tested YouTube, Spotify, Mixcloud for hours, calls, gameplay, browsing, social apps, well, you name it. And I got almost 8 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time, which is simply impressive, but it was kind of expected, given the smaller screen size, running on FHD resolution, the massive 4500 mAh battery, and the combination with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. So if you kind of need a full day battery phone, the Xiaomi 13 for sure is one. And guys, the Xiaomi 13 is probably among one of the best Android phones currently, small Android phones, and I do believe that this will stay the same even when Samsung releases S23 series. The Chinese MIUI is stable enough, but you'll be willing to accept the bloat and the fact that you have the upvolt and you don't have to Google Discover on your left. Actually, that's very easy to overcome. So overall, this is a very good phone. It's not cheap indeed, but it's a true flagship. And I don't believe that Xiaomi really compromised on anything. So if you want to go really with everything, you have to take the Pro version. But if you want to get the best out of the best and still, you know, left some money in your pocket, the Xiaomi 13 is really the best phone right now. Alright guys, really hope you enjoyed this full review. Support the channel if you like it. Stay safe, you and your families. VST over and bye.